It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Thank you so much for joining Sheba Shares, a part of the Divas That Care network. It's such an honor and a privilege to have amazing women on the platform to share what they're doing, to share their gifts, their abilities, their talents, to share their advice, their experience, just to make the world a better place. So I have the awesome honor and privilege of introducing and interviewing Miss Zaida. So Zaida, thank you so much for being on the show today. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very, very, very well. To be honest with you, you are at this point the youngest person that we've interviewed, but it's so good. I thought that it would be amazing to have you because obviously we know one another personally, but we know one another professionally as well because you have done quite a few illustrations for me for my children's books. And so I thought it would be perfect to have you on the show. So just share a little bit about yourself, you know, who you are and what do you do?
I guess I would say I'm a very free-spirited person.
Yes, you are.
I try not to let certain things hold me down. And what I would normally do is art-based related work, such as graphic design or painting.
Absolutely. Anything else?
I guess I'm very headstrong if I put myself towards something.
Absolutely. Yes, not I guess you are. Are you kidding me? Yes, you are. So that's great. So as you all may know, or maybe you don't know, the topic of our show is titled Art Speaks. Now, as a fellow artist, they say art is life. It was so cool. I thought it was so cool, but I was like, you know what? Art definitely speaks. From my own personal experience, my apartment here, the vision was for it to be almost like a art studio. And so I've had people in the past, that come and they really give the interpretation of the many art. I mean, in some regard, it probably looks clustered and all over the place, but to an artist, it's beautiful. It's inspiring. And, and it just, to me, it just empowers me. It makes me feel safe and comfortable. So then, Zaida, what does art do for you?
For me, I'd say art just helps me express the random thoughts I have in my head throughout the day.
Okay, so share. What are some pieces that you have done? Or do you name your pieces? I know some artists just kind of flow and then it's it. Or if you're anything like myself or other artists that I know, I mean, everything has to have a name. So what about you? What is your experience when you're creating art?
For me, I actually do not name the pieces. I just have a vision in my head already, and I try to put that on paper as best as I can. And once it's done, there's still no name. It just remains that way.
Wow. Okay. And so where do you get this artistic ability from? Does it run in your family? Are you, kind of this new, almost like, well, where did this come from? So where do you think that you get your ability from?
I'd say I get my ability from my family because it definitely runs in the blood. Both my grandfather and my uncle are very artistic, and they're very good with their hands.
Wow, that's amazing. So do they do art or do they do like other forms of, do they actually paint or, sketch or things like, what type of art do they do?
For my uncle, I'd say he does both animation and sketching, while my grandfather, he's more of hands-on, creating sculptures and paintings and drawings.
Wow, that's so amazing. Has any of them seen your art?
My uncle has seen my art, and so has my grandfather, but I don't think they've seen anything recent.
Wow. And what was their, reaction?
my grandfather was very surprised because what I had shown him was a doll exhaling smoke that was running through a pipe connected to bones and flesh.
Okay, so what type what would you what type of art is that? Is it a a modern day art? Like what type of art was that? Is it an abstract or you know?
I say it was like a contemporary abstract art.
Good, good. So what's your favorite medium? Do you do multiple mediums or do you have one niche? Which one is your favorite?
It's hard to say which one is my favorite, but my top two would be painting and drawing with markers.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, because for me, it helps with the detail
Gotcha. Okay.
and the fine lines here and there.
Wow, that's so amazing. So you mentioned before something about the random thoughts that come to your mind in a day. So let's think about it through the mind of an artist, right? So what does that look like? What does that look like to be in the mind of an artist or an illustrator? Again, the topic of the show is art speaks. So, it's something I guess that has to speak to you, then you translate it into some type of masterpiece. So what, like in a typical, just a general, you don't have to go through every specific or, detail, but so in a general day, what does that look like? Or what does that sound like? Or, feel like? What does that look like?
Back when I did used to paint frequently, the general day, I just think of different ways in order to enhance a piece I'm currently creating.
Mm-hmm.
Because I still kind of consider myself a beginner, so it's difficult to touch upon the realistic aspects of art. But whenever I can, I'd always try to just fill in the details here and there for whatever piece I'm working on at the moment. And I'd even, usually the inspiration would come at around maybe 1 a.m.
Yes, that's a perfect time to it's like that's the part, like those weird, everybody's sleeping and your mind as a creator or artist, sorry, your mind is just going, you know what I mean? Like it's the craziest thing ever. You're like, settle down, settle down, settle down, settle down. But okay, so there was one thing that you mentioned as far as just adding on or building on to a piece that you started. Do you think that art is a process? And if it is, what does that mean to you? Do you think that there's ever a period, if I can say, or is it more of a comma and it just continues to flow? What do you think about that?
I think it's a process because for me at the moment, I'm currently not really doing any art, and it's been that way for a while because the motivation would come and go. So it's as though the water is flowing and then it just stops abruptly.
Okay. Did you notice in your personal, art journey, when you mentioned as far as like the spark or the interest, do you notice what is their connection to that? Like what connects you to that? Like for instance, I know I've heard this, right? And I'm still trying to dissect it to see if I think that it's true, right? But sometimes people say that one of the biggest inspirations for artists is love, right? So whatever that be, maybe that be, song, art, so forth and so on. So for you, what is your biggest inspiration as it relates to art? What is that factor that causes you to, kind of pick up and keep moving or running or, I don't know if that's maybe the right way to explain it, but do you understand what I'm saying? Like, what is that inspiration? What is that spark?
I think I understand what you're saying. And for me, the inspiration would have to be the peculiar parts of life.
Okay.
Because that's what I tend to draw.
Wow.
Like in one of my pieces, or in a few of my pieces, I'm very obsessed with eyes because it's sometimes weird when people are just constantly staring at you.
I agree.
And eyes are the gateway to the soul. So I always like to input them in my piece because it can mean anything, really.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because with a lot of my art pieces, people say like I have a signature. What that's, I mean, I guess I can sort of kind of see what they're saying. Is something with the stroke or something, whatever. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I don't really know. But mine just has, it's a lot of just what I feel in the moment. I don't know. So you said there's like this reoccurring of eyes in your pieces, right? It's like a reoccurring, like in most instances, or if not all instances, you'll definitely see eyes in your artwork. But I agree though, eyes are a gateway to the soul. This is why I really try my best to always look people in their eyes. It speaks, it says a lot, So that's excellent. So now your life, right? Because I mean, even though sometimes, and I think a lot of artists or creative people, we tend to do this where we dumb down, right? Or we just kind of like, okay. In other people's eyes, it's like, hello, wake up, sis. Like, do you understand what you just accomplished? Like you were, I mean, on our professional journey, right? As my illustrator, that's what Zaida is. You were 18 or you were turning 18 or something, like, and I'm just like, oh, Zaida, you want to do this for me? And you're like, okay. all right. No, but seriously, I mean, if you think about it, at this point, you would technically be like a published illustrator, for for two books rather. And then of course, we have, well, it's going to be 3 soon, and, and it just continue. So, I mean, even how does that feel? Like I said, I know it's easy to bypass it, but it actually is a huge accomplishment. Like you're turning 20 in May. I mean, listen, there's some people who don't who don't accomplish those things until later in their life. And just to know that you're picking up speed, like I said, you've done work with me, and that you're like my person, you know what I mean? Like, so we will work together and be connected forever. And then you have other opportunities that emerge in as well. So, when that accomplishment, and it wasn't just my accomplishment, it was your accomplishment too, because girl, your name is all over copyrighted. Seriously, copyright, I got to make sure that you give, honor where honor is due and pay homage. And so what did that feel like now that you're a published illustrator, does it feel like anything? I don't know.
At first, it didn't really feel like anything, but the other day, Mom had showed me the Just Like God book, and when I saw it, I was immediately hit with the wave of anticipation for what's next.
Yeah.
Because
it's okay. Listen, our children, they are definitely a part of our interview, so it's okay. People understand we make this thing happen. But and it's funny because your mom, and she knows I'm gonna big up your mother. I will always just love her. I tell her thank you for birthing. Oh no, but seriously, because you're a huge person in my life. So she did, and it's true though. I was like, wow, Zaida's real. I mean, you may consider yourself to be a beginner, but I'm just saying, like, wow, she really, really grew. And then even the book that's going to be coming out, woo, in August, when I tell you, I was blown away. I was like, what? Because in my opinion, it shows like this diversity, right? So sometimes as an artist or illustrator or a creator, right, you start with one thing, and then it's so easy to just branch out and expand to other different things. But as you said before, it's all about inspiration. It's all about, like what's currently happening, and then it could be nothing's happening either, so it just all depends. So yeah, I'm telling you, you're doing amazing work. So you're welcome, my dear. Do you have a mentor?
Yes, I do have a mentor, actually.
You have a mentor?
And her name is Sheba.
Look, I didn't know you was going there. Well, look, thank you. Somebody else posted on Instagram, was like, oh, my mentor. I was like, this is what I'm taught. No, I'm kidding. That's amazing. Thank you. I really appreciate that. But as far as art, let me reframe the question now. As far as art, do you think that it's necessary to have like a art mentor, so to speak? Or do you think that it's art. You can just kind of flow, you know what I mean? Or does it depend on, let's see, or does it depend on where you see yourself, or where you, and if I can say, envision your art to be?
I think it may depend on the route that I choose.
Okay.
If I just choose to do random art, then I don't really, I think I might need a slight mentor, but with illustrations, I'm still fairly new to the game, and it's sometimes difficult to think of what comes next with each page. So to have a mentor there would be nice.
Okay, all right, that's excellent. Well, okay, you know what? Let's get to the question, right? Because we said art speaks, art speaks. So in this present moment, right, as an artist, as an illustrator, as a graphic designer, I mean, you're just your style in itself is art. Like seriously, like it's not a dull moment from the hair up to the list. I'm like, this girl got it. Oh my goodness, I love it. So for Zaida's art, just in general, just take a moment to just think in general, maybe not a specific piece that you've done or something that's maybe brewing in the moment, but in general, Zaida's art, we say that it speaks. So what does Zaida's art, what does it speak? What does it say? Or what does it have to say? If you were to say to the world, this is what I want my art to say, what would you say?
I just want my art to say, be free with what you do. Yeah, it's just better to have things free form, without the constraints of reality and such. So if you can go outside the box, think outside the box, because that's what I normally do.
I concur. I agree. As they say, ashe, amen, and all of those other good things. So great. So one last thing before we wrap it up. And again, I want to thank you so much for just being a part of Sheba Shares. People ask me, well, why did you name it that? Because we're sharing this time, we're sharing this space, and just to share. This is what we're doing. A lot of people are not aware. And so this is just another tool to bring awareness on this international platform. So now people across the world will literally know your name, and hopefully, maybe they may want to connect with you to do further work, to collaborate, to do partnerships. You just never know, to teach a class. You never know where the pieces to this puzzle called life, where it would lead you to. So as we wrap up, the last thing that I would say is, where can people find you? Where can they find you, meaning on social media? Let's say if they did want to reach out to you, say, hey, listen, Zaida, I have a book coming up, and I want to solicit your services. Where would they be able to find you?
Though I have not been on it recently, you can find me on Instagram at One Dry Day 2.0, or even drier, my Facebook, which I think is also just One Dry Day.
No, it's your first and last name.
Oh, it's my first and last name? Completely forgot.
It's okay. It's okay. So say that one more time. So Instagram is One
Dry Day 2.0.
Okay, One Dry, DRYDAY 2.0, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And or if you want to, you feel free to reach out to me on any of those platforms. They're all a part of, the link and the website. If you want to connect with Zaida, which I highly, strongly, passionately, I don't know if excitedly is, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so excited, just with great honor and respect for your art, for your energy, for your gift, for your talent. I highly recommend her, even though she says she's a beginner. But listen, if beginners have phases then hey, she's definitely far than, because I mean, it's not like a tree with little sticks and, you're a little bit past, I'm kidding, little birds with two little lines. No, we're not, that's beginner. But anyway, so yes, so definitely if you want to solicit Zaida's business as an emerging illustrator, listen, if you have any opportunities for her, if you say, you know what, this girl can use a mentor, listen, you can find her again on Instagram at one dry day 2.0, and or you can definitely, hit me up and we will make that connection for you. So Zaida, my dear, thank you so much for being on Sheba Shares. Listen, it was an honor. I mean, art is just, as you know, one of my favorite things ever. And it was good just chatting and sharing this time, hearing what your art speaks to the world, which is freedom, this fluid, be you, think outside the box, live outside the box, stay outside the box, right? And just, true to who you are. So thank you so much again for all the listeners. You can definitely check us out at the Divas That Care Network. And if you want to be a guest, reach out to me. I would love to interview you on Sheba Shares. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.